Bentley Continental GT3 R. Having acquired Bentley, the original Bentley Flying Spur was the second half of Volkswagen's grand strategy for the resuscitation of the British marque. Bentley may have made its name with heavyweight, ultra-fast two-door lorries, but the brand proved just as capable of fitting four doors to its coachwork. This tradition continued through the S and T series models, right up to the final Mulsanne built under Vickers ownership. In fact, the first post-war car to emerge from Crewe with a body supplied by Bentley, and not a coach builder, was the Mark V, a saloon that morphed into the R-Type, which in turn spawned a two-door version dubbed the Continental. The Continental GT may have kick-started Bentley's reformation in familiar two-door sporting format, but its four-door sibling was rightly considered essential to establishing Bentley as VW's luxury division, and as a credible volume rival to its former bedfellow, Rolls-Royce. Nevertheless, the car was not meant as a limousine. Its engineers remained preoccupied with the idea that a Bentley was bought to be driven, not driven in. But buyers in the US and now, more importantly, China, disagreed and made the Flying Spur the best-selling four-door Bentley ever without strain from the back seat. It is chiefly their input and needs that have been addressed with the new model, a car that no longer requires, or warrants, a badge tie-up with the still-related Continental. It is now a substantial event in its own right, but has the change in approach rendered the new Flying Spur a damn squib in its still sizable home market? We give the driver the week off to find out. The Flying Spur may have been given a moniker to separate its identity from the Continental Coupe and Convertible, but it's about differentiating the car's character from its more sporting siblings, rather than a demonstration that their engineering paths have differed. Beneath a skin that is completely different, although, from the front particularly, you'd want the two cars side by side to spot what the changes are. The Bentley Flying Spur's mechanicals are an evolution of the previous cars. The steel monocoque is claimed to be 50 kilograms lighter than before, although trim and equipment changes are said to make the difference between the two negligible. But it's the Chinese market's importance to the Spur, up to 60% of production will find its home there, that marks out the biggest difference between four-door and two-door Bentleys. China likes soft-riding cars, to the extent that it's the only market to have had a model combining the most powerful supersports engine with the softest suspension, in the previous Spur. Compared with its predecessor, the latest Spur gets spring rates that are 10% softer at the front and 13% at the rear, with 13 and 15% softer anti-roll bars respectively. Its bushes are at least 25% softer, too, which ought to produce a ride that is not only suitable for China but also addresses one of the main criticisms of the old car, that its ride wasn't compliant enough. The powertrain is improved in detail rather than wholesale, too. The Flying Spur is available with a 6.0-liter W12 turbocharged petrol engine, making 616 bhp and 590 pounds-foot of torque, or an Audi-derived 4.0-liter V8 motor. There are two versions of the turbocharged V8, a 500 bhp standard engine and a tweaked 521 bhp for the sportier V8s. Each Flying Spur drives through ZF's 8-speed auto transmission to all four wheels and features cylinder deactivation to improve the emission outputs. The W12 and V8 motor in the front of the Flying Spur has received a new engine management system, including different control of the turbos, which, combined with the 8-speed auto, improves the Spur's emissions by 13% over the outgoing models. Fuel consumption is still 19.2 miles per gallon, combined, and CO2 emissions are 343 grams/km, figures that are lumpy for two very good reasons. First, this is a 2,545 kilograms car. Second, it's capable of reaching 60 miles per hour from rest in 4.5 seconds and 100 miles per hour in 10.4 seconds, and it can cover a standing quarter mile in 13.0 seconds dead. This is a quick car. It's also one with excellent drivetrain refinement and ambience. From outside, at idle, one tester noted that it sounds like a powerful tugboat, in the nicest sense, woefully and effortlessly powerful. The Bentley's engines make their peak power at 6,000 revolutions per minute, true, but that the W12's 590 pounds-foot and the V8's 488 pounds-foot are available from only 2,000 revolutions per minute and 1,750 revolutions per minute respectively, so the engines are responsive over a broad range. It doesn't much matter which gear you're in other words. It's just as well the ZF unit shifts intelligently and smoothly, because the manual paddles are an awkward stretch, high up on the steering column. It's best left to its own devices, whereupon it drives the flying spur forward with the kind of thrust in keeping with its reputation and price, near the top of the luxury saloon pile. We're less taken with the brakes. They're fine under most normal conditions, but this car has 200 miles per hour potential. From high speeds, the pedal feels dead and initial retardation could be stronger. Taking 2.99 seconds to stop from 60 miles per hour in ideal conditions, while far from dangerous, isn't anything to write home about, either. Carbon ceramic brakes are optional, but you'd have to weigh up their pedal feel versus their resistance to fade to decide if they're worth it.